All right, let's start the interview.
Tell me who you are and what Sun Lamb Studio does in plain terms, like you are explaining it to someone who has never thought about custom stickers, apparel, or handmade goods before.
Sure. My name is Zully Karbowski. And honestly, Sunlam Studio in plain terms is kind of whatever you want it to be. So we started off with just wedding goods and home wares and basic things like that, and then branched off into branding and custom work. And really, it's whatever you need. I try to do that for you. So if you have an idea for a custom gift, a wedding favor, a branding package, anything like that, I'm the one you go to when you really don't know what you need. And we kind of dream it up together. So I'm basically whatever you need.
I already did one with another person that does custom gift giving, so that's interesting. I've never interacted with it before, so the fact that now that there's two that I've talked to that actually do that kind of thing, so
Yeah,
that's
it's a big market now. It's people want what they want. So, you can't find what you need online, you call someone like me.
and be able to get it customized so that it's personal as well.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
what got you into making things, and how did Sun Lamb Studio come to life?
Probably early to mid 2023. I was kind of in a rut. I needed a hobby. I was working a lot. And I was like, I really just need something to do outside of work that was a creative outlet. And I stumbled across like my first Cricut device, a Cricut cutting machine. And it was kind of just like a little hobby at home. Like, hey, I'll make a mug for my mom and like I'll make this for my friend. And at that same time, I was actually engaged as well, or was engaged. I'm now married. But I was like, as I was shopping for things for my wedding, I was like, these are so expensive, and it's not even what I want. Like it's close, but it's not there. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's combine the two. So I did all of the decor and favors for our small, like 50-person wedding. Um, and everyone loved it. Where'd you get this? Who made it? You should do this for a living, or on the side. And I kind of just ran with that. And I was like, why can't I make this like a little side hustle? So Sunlamp Studio, kind of just came after my wedding. And the name, a lot of people ask. So my first and middle name is Sully Cordero. Cordero was my maiden name. I took it as my middle. That comes from the Spanish phrase of Sol Cordero, which is a sun lamb. And so it's just a direct translation. So everyone always asks where that comes from. So it's my first and middle name translated, basically. But it felt like me. I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. So I was like, I'm just gonna slap my name on it and see if it sticks. Yeah, and that was 3 years ago and we're still running.
Okay, so your son Lamp, not Sun Lamb?
Lamb. Yep, lamb. Like the animal, like sheep. So I
Yeah.
guess like our family comes from like sheep herders in Spain.
Oh,
Like we
okay.
did we did a deep dive, and our like family crest has like a lamb on it. So that ended up being my last name, and then I took it as my middle name and decided to keep it. So yeah, sun lamb. So like sun in the sky, and like Mary had a little lamb.
Okay, so just like an extra spin, like mine is Clark bookkeeping. So like you kind of made like yours unique with that same concept. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
Yeah, instead of saying like Sully, like my name, I was like, let's just, throw a little spin on it so it's still me but unique.
You're building this while working another job the same way a lot of people are. What does a typical week look like while trying to fit in both?
Yeah, so it's hard. So I work in the legal field. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an office manager, but I always tell people, and it's not my expression, I heard it somewhere and it kind of stuck with me. Where you have your 9 to 5 and then you have your 5 to 9. So Monday through Friday, I go do my 9 to 5. I'm an HR, bookkeeper, IT, whatever you need, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And then it took a lot of juggling and like scheduling and to make sure that I can come home and take care of what I need to at home with my family, but then kind of lock myself in here and process my orders and my do all of that fun customizing stuff. So it's a lot of balancing. So I'm really running Monday through Friday, coming home, eating, coming up here, and kind of, trying to do my thing here. My goal is one day my 9 to 5 will fund my 5 to 9. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. So it's just been a lot of juggling. So I told my husband, it's corporate America and then creative America at after 5 o'clock. So yeah,
So
it's kind
you
of,
kind of like compartmentalize like your life, like like this time slot is for work, this time slot is
yeah.
for my.
Yeah, and especially for me, I have to. My job allows me to work from home. So I can't be getting distracted when I'm balancing, someone's, bookkeeping or their billing, and I can't be like, oh, like, let's go do this or let's go do that. So yeah, it is very compartmentalized. It's very, I'm going to work on this and then switch gears and work on that. And it definitely took a lot of time and discipline. But yeah, I think I have a good groove now where I can kind of balance both and still have like a work-life balance as a whole.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's hard for somebody to like grasp in concept because you just work your normal 9 to 5 and then everything's just yours now. So now you have something to build and focus on, build on just completely your own.
Yeah, and and it's kind of, in the beginning I felt like, wow, I'm working 24/7 if you really think about it, but you just kind of flipping the mindset of like, yeah, but this thing I'm doing afterward is for me, really helps kind of bring the love into it, so I don't burn out, which is super important.
Walk me through what happens between someone saying, I want something custom and the finished product landing in their hands.
Oh, that's fun. So right now, a lot of my business is coming through word of mouth. So usually I'm getting like hey, my friend's gonna reach out to you for this, or I get a random email. And most times people know what they want, which is really nice. So it may say, hey, I'm getting married and I have 3 girls I want to ask to be my bridesmaids, or I need the XYZ wedding favors. So it's really us having a conversation. If it's something basic, we can email back and forth. If I feel like I really need to get a grasp on what you want, I will call. But it's basically getting all the details. What do you want? What are you looking for? Budget is a big one. I work with budgets. I don't have a set price list because everybody's different. And I know the whole reason I got into making my wedding favors was because everything is so expensive. And that's not to like diss people's pricing because you price what you're worth, but just the world we live in right now is so expensive that I don't want people to be like, oh, I had this one creative thing I wanted or this one idea I wanted and I can't afford it. So budget's a huge thing that we talk about, and then we kind of work from there. What are you looking to get? When are you looking to get it? Just working out all those details. I'll draft up a contract, we'll get that signed, and then go ahead and start production. I usually have a mock-up or a draft, couple of rounds to fire back to the client, like, hey, do you like this idea? Yes, but change this. Okay. So, I'll do that back and forth because I'm not happy until you're happy. So once we kind of get that, all those kinks worked out and I'm, in production, I'll make 1 or 2, depending if it's multiple items, show the client. And once I get their okay go, we fire them out, package them up and bring them over. And like I said, I want my folks to be happy. So I'm very communicative throughout the whole process. Maybe kind of annoying. I'm probably at some point, someone's like, I get it, but I want them to really love it. So yeah, very communicative all the way through, multiple check-ins all the way through, until you have it and you're happy.
Right. I like the saying, I'd rather have too much information than not enough. And you want
Yeah.
to be clear with your clients so they get exactly what they want. With your processing, what was the quickest that you've ever like someone's contacted you to them actually getting like the full,
Yeah.
experience and whatever you've made it in for them?
So like I said, I have to throw a disclaimer on this because I can't do this for weddings because that's a lot more planning. But with like the custom gift side, I had someone reach out that they were going out of town attending a friend's anniversary party, and it was like a landmark, like a 25th anniversary, and they wanted custom like glassware. Um, which is like normally not a big deal because like happy 25th anniversary is not really hard, but we wanted to make them really personalized. So I was literally like, we need to hop on a call now. I need to know what you want on these glasses. I do glass etching too. So we did like a beautiful like mug set with, etched glassware for them. And the reason that was so stressful was because they were leaving and they were like on the road. And at one point she was like, oh, like I have to go now, like I trust you. I'm like, wait, like I had more questions. So yeah, 48 hours from the time she contacted me to the time I pumped them out to the time she took them with her was my shortest turnaround for like a multi-piece like glassware set. Everything went well. They loved it, but I was stressed because I'm a perfectionist and I like that feedback or like, hey, do you like this? I mean, once I etch glass, there's no peeling that off. Once I, sublimate a mug, there's no taking that off. So, and then usually I try to have those supplies in my stock ahead of time in case like a printer goes bad or something goes wrong. I didn't have that. So I had one shot to nail this whole set without her feedback. So I was stressed. She apparently wasn't, but yeah, it all went well. So I try not to do that too often, but that one worked out really well.
So how long was that whole actual thing? Like a week, 2 weeks?
That was, I think she contacted me on like a Wednesday, and then she was like, "We're leaving out of town on Friday, so I need everything Friday." So it was like 48
Oh
hours.
wow.
Yeah, because
So
she was
she
going
put
out
that
of.
pressure on real quick.
Oh yeah, it was. She was like, "I'm leaving, so I need this," and
Now, what's the longest? It's been from the start to finish. I'm sure it's been like a wedding or something like that.
it's a
Something where it had to
yeah.
be absolutely perfect.
It's been a wedding. It's usually just a few months, and it's typically, and I say this with love because I was one of those brides. It's usually my brides that jump the gun and order things before they have a venue set or a date set. So I do custom mirrors. So you've probably seen them on Pinterest, but like they're very ornate gold frame mirrors, and it has like the couple's names, their date, and like a quote. So it'll say like, you know, Sue and John, September 1st, happily ever after, like something like that. So I had a couple put in an order for one. And I'm the type that once I finish my stuff, I like to make sure that my client has it in hand. I don't really hold on to stuff. And I had to hold on to this mirror because she kept changing the wedding date. And it's because I think she had not booked the venue, or there was trouble in paradise. I don't know, but the date kept pushing out, and finally I was like, "Tell me all the dates you want. I'll print them all out, and then if you need to," taught her how to like lay the vinyl down. To this day, I still don't know what day they got married, but that was a few months of just back and forth, back and forth. And finally, I was like, "You need to take this because it's taking up so much room in my studio." So, but yeah, the weddings are typically, even if they know their date, the weddings are typically drawn out just because my brides usually are reaching out months in advance, especially if it's the bridal gifts, like the bridesmaid proposal boxes and things like that. That gets given to them months before. But yeah, I try not to hold on to things too long, but the weddings are a different story.
So you've gone as short as 3 days compared to 6 months,
Yes,
roughly.
exactly. All over the place. I try to keep my people happy. So whatever they want, as long as I can do it. But yeah, stressful both situations.
Yeah, but you were able to do it, and that's like something that builds, especially relationships and trust and
Yeah.
reputation.
Yeah, I never want to offer a deadline or an outcome that I know I can't nail. So like that I always have to give that with a grain of salt of like, hey, I'm gonna try my best, but it's so nice when it works out. Not, knock on wood, to date, I have not had one that hasn't. So
Has you ever like started like the whole process and then they were just like, yeah, I don't know.
oh, numerous times. It's when I learned to start taking deposits.
Mm,
When I first started. A lot of people don't realize that the mock-up phase is probably the bulk of the work. Like once I'm done designing and laying out what you want, the machines take it from there. It's that initial design process, especially if you want graphics. It's very different to write a couple's name and a wedding date versus making a logo and a brand suite for a small business. So I've done that work where we were in that mock-up communicative phase, and then they're like, a couple weeks later, like, yeah, no, I decided we're not going to go through with it. And that's when I was just starting, and there was no contracts, there was no deposits. So, they had nothing committing to me, and I learned that I didn't have anything committing to them. So, yeah, that one, those stink because they take a lot of time. I take a lot of pride in my work, and it takes time away from my other projects. So those have been bummers, but those have kind of thankfully been weeded out. The worst, I think, mechanical issue I ever had was one of my cutting machines dying the day before I was doing a brand shoot. So I was doing shirts for a local fitness apparel brand, Built Not Bought, 518, check them out. Um, but she's a personal trainer, and we came up with some t-shirt designs for her business. And she had a branding shoot where she hires someone to take photos of the fitness models and things like that. So I'm banging shirts out. And my 9 to 5 got hectic. I fell behind. So I was 24 hours before just printing the last few shirts, and my cutting machine died. And not only did it die, it ended up like ripping the vinyl that I had and loaded in the machine, shredded it, couldn't use it. So that was like running to my car, flying out to like whatever store had a cutting machine, cutting back, redoing all of that, with like hours to spare that night. So Yeah, that was a tough one, but now I have a new machine and it's great, but definitely not a fun time.
Well, we all have our growing pains, and you definitely adjust and learn to adapt and everything. That
Yeah.
makes you better as a business owner overall, anyway. And you kind of have to go through these bad times to be able to work through, get the good.
Yeah, exactly. It's all like I said. Now I have multiple machines. Like if one cuts out, I just can roll over to another. Like no more relying on one like really old machine. So, but yeah, growing pains for
Building, building a system.
yes, exactly. Got a good fleet going.
Stickers, apparel, home goods, bridal gifts, branding, that is a wide range. How do you help someone figure out what they actually need versus what they think they want?
Yeah, so it's funny, like one of like the cardinal sins of small business, they say is like doing too much, like not narrowing down to a niche. But I kind of feel like my niche is that I do everything like one-stop shop. So with weddings, I love my brides. They know what they want because they have been dreaming about this forever. So they come forward, they're great. It's more my custom gifts and my branding folks who get a little overwhelmed because, some folks do want the package. They do want to come to you and be like, I want package A that comes with XYZ items. And I don't really do that because my packages wouldn't fit everyone and I would, not be able to accommodate. So I really start with a conversation of what are you looking to achieve if it's a branding situation? Are you looking to give these things away for free at like expos or markets? Are you looking to give this to clients who are already established? Because, you're not going to give away a Stanley tumbler at a market, but you're not going to give a situated client a sticker. So, kind of just figuring out what your end goal is. Are you looking for things for branding shoots? That's becoming huge now with small business owners who are going and doing professional photo shoots with their products. So like, does this need to be on camera? I have folks that want things that pop, colors and things like that. So it's basically just what are you looking to accomplish with this? Because I hate to oversell because I don't want to see my hard work in the trash and I don't want to see you throw your money away. So I don't like to sell things that you're not going to use. I'll even tell you, hey, you're a new business. Maybe we don't need 100 tumblers. Like maybe we start off with 50 and we see how you do. If you want the 100, that's great, but I'm never going to push that. So it's basically, like I said, I'm very communicative. We'll email back and forth. We'll talk like this. And it's just, figuring out what your end goal is versus your starting point. So people come to me and they're like, I want all of the branding. And it's like, okay, but what do you want this branding to do? Or I want a custom gift for so and so. Okay, but like how do you want so and so to react? Is it sentimental? Is it funny? Is it useful? Is it, sometimes people like a cute little gimmicky, gift. So it's basically just conversing and kind of weeding out what people want. And they'll tell you, even if they don't realize it, they'll say certain like hot words or, quick lines. I'm like, oh, okay, so you need this. So, you definitely have to be a good listener and, kind of figure out for people what they want, even if they're not sure.
So not only can you make it, but you also have the experience that if someone's been in that situation and they don't really aren't established enough to really have been through that kind of situation before, you can find recommendations from your past to help the new customer with their things, and especially knowing what worked out and what didn't to help.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely try. Like I said, no one knows your business or like your person better than the client. But sometimes people get overwhelmed. It's easy to with everything that's out there right now. And in my life, I've always been in a retail or a customer facing type 9 to 5 job. So it helps having the people skills to talk because people really need that sometimes. Just, talk it out, walk through it, get the clarity at the end, and then we can start.
My clients are typically construction based,
Okay.
contractors, that kind of thing. Say like if they wanted to like get something to like put their names out there a little bit better, or show their brand and have people be able to communicate, like what kind of products would you suggest for like that kind of individual? Because personally, the only thing that I could think of is like a shirt
Yeah.
that I made off Canva for my guy, and I hate the material, so I didn't really care for that. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. So my blue collar guys, I come from a blue collar family. My husband's a blue collar guy. Coffee tumblers, because those guys are up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and they're at Stewart's or their local coffee shop filling their paper cups. And by the time you get to the site, if it's not done, it's cold. So I always tell people, for our blue collar folks, hot beverage tumblers are great. Not really the cold, because I don't think I've ever seen a construction guy holding a Stanley, but like the Yeti type tumblers, like those hot coffee tumblers are great. That's more so just kind of getting the name out there. But if things to pass around, shirts are great, hats are great. I don't do this. I'm hoping to get into it. So, coming soon, but I have seen like engraving is getting really big. So I would suggest like engrave like the pocket knives or things like that. Whether you give that out is up to you. I might want to keep that. But I feel like for construction guys, it has to be something useful. It's not gonna be like swag like the way I would give it to like someone else. But even stickers too, because you'd be surprised how many guys love stickers on their toolboxes and things like that, like funny like sayings and things like that. Those are the ones like the humor comes in hard. But yeah, I would say anything useful. I probably wouldn't give those guys like glass coffee mugs or like wine glasses or anything like that. But yeah, t-shirt.
I like what you were saying about like the coffee thing, because you figure out, Stuart, you're filling it up. Someone's like,
Yes.
"Oh, what's that company? Who is that?" Like, "Oh, it's
Yep.
mine."
Yep,
And
because you
then they'd
can
be
bring
like,
your
"Oh,
own.
can I get your name and stuff?" So
You
it's
can
just
bring
like
your own
free,
tumbler
like,
shorts. You just tell them like what size, and they pay. You pay based on that. So yeah, that's great. Especially if you're walking through job sites and you're holding it. You're talking to a client. You're discussing blueprints. It's there. And people are crazy about that stuff now. I don't know if you've seen like the Stanley obsessed Tumblr people that have like hundreds of these things, like these cups. People look for those. It catches people's eye. If it's a funky color and it has a cool brand on it, people look. So, the tumblers, man, it's taking over the world.
what's the most unusual customer request you've gotten so far?
I won't say it's unusual. It was just something I was not familiar with. Like the book community, like I don't know how familiar you are with like the bookish community out there. And it's like the people that are like into like book series and like certain books and things like that. I've gotten a few of those requests, and I did actually a couple of like custom glasses for a book club, who I think they're reading what is that book? A Court of Rose and Thorns and Roses. I probably killed that, and the bookish community is going to come for me now. But it's like a really big series apparently. And going back to how I like process mock-ups and I ask questions, it was really hard to make glasses on books I've never read. And I hate saying no to things, but I had to come out and tell her, like, listen, I don't know any of the quotes, lines, characters that you just told me, and I have no time to read these books. So, like, we're really going to have to work on this together. So I wouldn't say it was unusual, but it was definitely one of my more collaborative ones. I usually don't try to make the client work that much. But she was happy to talk about the book, and I was happy to hear about it. And we came out with some really good designs for her book club. But that one was just more unusual because I usually don't feel out of my depth. I love to read, but I just wasn't familiar with like the series that they were talking about. So that one was kind of like where I really needed the client to know what she wanted, and thankfully she did. But yeah, that the book people, I love them. They're so passionate about their series and things like that. But if you haven't read them, you have a lot of catching up to do to work with them. So I guess I got to start reading more.
Bridal gifts and wedding decor sound like a different rhythm than a one-off sticker order. How do you manage timelines when something has a wedding date attached to it?
So again, very communicative. When brides reach out to me, I'm really hoping that they're like not at that 30-60 day mark. Depends on what they want. If they're looking for a mirror, I can probably do that. But favors and table numbers and all that are a little different. But I typically, if it's bridal gifts, and by bridal gifts I mean like it's really big now, the bridesmaid proposal boxes, where the bride will reach out to her friends and give them a box. Will you be my bridesmaid? And it has like a custom candle and a keychain and all these cute little things, a glass, a mug. Brides usually want that pretty soon after they get engaged. So I usually get my girls and they're, hey, I got engaged here. I don't have a wedding date yet. Those I typically need about 30 days to knock out. But that's kind of up to the bride, because once she has them, she can give them to her girls whenever she wants. If it's things tied to the wedding day, so like table numbers, decor, things like that, 3 months. I try to have that to them in their hands. That's if they reach out to me with enough time. If you reach out within 3 months, it's obviously going to look a little different. But if you're a planner like I was, who was reaching out to people a year ahead of time, I usually try to have things in my bride's hands 3 months prior to their wedding date. A little more loosey goosey with the bridesmaid gifts, because it's kind of just like I can get those to you. If you have a deadline, like I might have a girl that says, "Hey, we're going out to dinner on this date," and I want to ask them then you'll have it, 2 weeks before that date. But it's really my wedding day girls that I need to know as soon as possible, especially if you want a lot of stuff, because it is just me in my little home studio. So I try to have that to them within 3 months. God forbid they need to change their date, push it up, push it back. They have it, and they can, be relaxed with their items, knowing that they don't have to come to me and be like, "Oh my God, we changed the date." 3 months, it usually covers the basis of the dates changing. God forbid we have something like COVID where like weddings were, backlogged and everything. We're just kind of coming out of that right now. But yeah, once I try to get it to them within 3 months of their date.
That makes sense. I mean, especially like the personal stuff doesn't need to be as perfect, but as far as the show, the
Yeah.
wedding itself, like that has to be
Yeah.
delicately handled.
Yeah. And I'm a perfectionist. So like that's my own like two-edged sword. Like you said, like the bridesmaid, the bridal gifts, that kind of things, not saying that they can be less perfect, but you're not as anal about them versus things that are going to be professionally photographed and unforgiving with, these beautiful cameras that these photographers have. So those are the ones that I'm really trying to nail down, especially like the custom mirrors where people are setting those up for pictures. Table numbers and little things like that are maybe in the background of a photo, but those ornate mirrors, those are a photo prop. People pose next to them, people take pictures directly of them. So like things like that, I need the time to get those right. It sounds simple. Like people think like you just type out some names and a date and you print it and you slap it on a mirror. Yes, but the difference with me is I provide the mirror. So I actually go out and I source the mirrors. If people go on my social media pages, they'll see some of the mirrors. Those are mirrors that I provide to the client. They can choose to buy the mirror outright or they can rent it. And I make a lot of those mirrors too. There's one, I used it for my wedding. It is a beautiful ornate gold frame mirror, but that was actually a painting in my grandmother's house. And when she passed, the painting was damaged. And I actually kept that frame. She passed when I was 12. She passed when I was 12. And my mom kept the painting. The painting got damaged. I got my own apartment at 19. And I was like, "Can I have the frame?" She's like, "The painting's no good." I said, "I just want the frame. I don't know why, but I want the frame." So I kept the frame from 19 to 27 and pulled it out of storage, went to a glass shop, had them cut the mirror and fuse it and make that. So like I had a piece of my grandmother at my wedding. She passed. That's kind of what I do for all my brides. I go to antique stores, I go to shops. If you have a mirror, that's great. But I source my mirrors myself. So you can't hit me up a week before your wedding saying you want a mirror unless you have the mirror. So yeah, I definitely need the time because my workshop's a little different. You can go on Etsy and you can say John and Susie need January 1st, 2027, and they'll send you the stickers. I give you the whole mirror. And you can even go to my social media pages and see some of the mirrors that I've given my clients. So I need time for that.
I like that story. That's really cool and unique. Like, and
Yeah.
if someone had like that kind of thing, would you be able to do that for them
Yeah.
as well? Depending
Yeah.
on the object,
I have,
obviously, but
depending on the object, depending on the frame, because not all frames you can do it. But yeah, and I still have that mirror. We took the vinyl off of it and it's hung in our house. And I just remember seeing that at my grandmother's house since I was a little girl. And I'm glad, thankfully, my mom kept the painting. It damaged, I kept it, and I'd love to do that for other people too. So, but then on the flip side, I have folks that are like, I have nothing sentimental, but I want this look. So then I'm at the flea markets and the estate sales and the antique markets trying to find things to use. So it's very personalized. It's very different than, folks who just are, printing out, cricket stickers, as people say, or like, getting vinyl online. I kind of try to make it a whole experience for you. So need time for that.
Do you work with other small businesses like in your business?
I do, but I don't think I've made it a good point of telling them that they're working with another small business, if that makes sense. Like I have a glass shop that I go to cut the mirrors. At this point, she probably just thinks I really like mirrors. I don't think I've actually ever, now that you mention it, been like, this is for my business. So probably something I should like look into. But I have my favorites, like my people, my vendors that I go to that I use to work with. And also I've recruited all my friends and family. So I'm like, if you go to a thrift store, a Salvation Army, a Goodwill, an antique market, or an estate sale, and you see something you think I could use, I need you to take a picture. And I need you to send it to me, and I'll Venmo you the money. So my friends and family have been really good about helping me with that stuff too. But as far as local businesses, not directly. I probably should work on that and getting my name out there a little bit more.
When a brand or business comes to you for branding work, what does that conversation usually look like?
I think I kind of touched on it earlier, but it's basically, what are you looking to accomplish? So if you're a newer brand, so bringing back, and I keep mentioning Built Not Bought 518 because they were like from the ground up. She came to me, she's like, I'm a personal trainer and I want to do apparel. And that was all she had. So that was like, let's get you a logo, let's get you, a color theme, a palette, a font, like all these things in a brand suite that people don't really think about. I actually helped her trademark her logo. So her logo is trademarked in New York State. But it's, what are you looking to accomplish? So for her, it was something fun, something inclusive, and something that was down to earth. Because she's like, I'm tired of, seeing all of these like high end, like, Alpha Elite and Gymshark type brands that don't fit everybody, and I'm working with people who are not confident and want, clothes to wear and things like that. So big, big dreams. So we started out building the brand. She built her social media page. It's still getting off the ground, but it's doing really well. I did her t-shirt designs. That was the client that my cutting machine broke. So she hired a brand photographer, and she was like, I just want it to be fun. So everything that we did for her was bright colors, bold prints, not, I wouldn't say funny expressions, but like catchy quotes and things like that. So that was just all conversations. Because, for someone like her who doesn't have any of the things and wants all of the things, you have to start somewhere. So it was just a good conversation. What are you looking to accomplish? And kind of just go from there. So from her, it was very much an introductory type deal. Like, I just want people to know who we are. So that was like the fun swag. That was like the bright, colorful tumblers and the hats and the shirts and the things that you kind of are giving out for free because you just want people to know. And now that she is more established, now are the things that, we make the things that you sell. So like, I had done custom Bic lighters for her. They're wrapped. They have her logo on it. We have done tumblers, we've done mugs, we've done hats. I'm actually working on ski masks now for her. That's been, yeah, for the winter, like for people that work out outside, like they have like the cutouts. I guess people work out in the winter. I did not know that, but we're working on like little things like that. So for anybody that's coming to me, if you're a new brand, that's kind of how we start off. If you're an established brand, I really want to know what you've done before. So if you're like, hey, I use Vistaprint, I use Canva, it's either too expensive. What I hear a lot is people that can't use these websites because they're small and they have minimum quantities. That's a lot of my clientele, where they're like, I just want 4 mugs and 2 t-shirts, and I can't do that because Vistaprint has 100 mug minimum or something like that. So I always ask, what have you done before? What was it for? And what are you looking to accomplish now? Because I don't ever want to duplicate something. Like, I love what I do and I take pride in it, but the mug I make is probably going to be the same exact kind of mug that you're going to get from Vistaprint. So I kind of want to know why you're coming to me. Is it because you want it more personalized? Is it because you want small quantities? Is it because you're on a budget? It doesn't matter why you came to me. You just need to be honest with me. Because if you're not, and I break something out that you like, oh, I've already done this 10 times over, waste your time, so spends my time up. So just being very communicative and just kind of seeing what you've done and what you're looking to do. And that usually kind of is the catalyst for everything after that.
So two things that stand out from like that one question that you've answered is pretty much your creative collaboration. Like you help people figure out what they need and everything like that. And the other one is like I don't want to say sample size, but small quantities. Like you can help people figure it out and get those kinds of things without the huge orders. And
Yeah.
that's really important for small businesses, especially people that are just, just starting out and being able to see if they even like the customizations and they want to stand out from their competition with just the
Yep.
generic silver or whatever.
Yeah, and it's personalized too. And one thing I say, if you're a local business to the 518, I deliver. There's no waiting 4 to 6 weeks processing for Vistaprint. If I can knock it out earlier, I'll bring it to you. But like you said, there are folks that think they have a small business idea, but they don't want to invest a ton because they don't know yet, or they launch some branding stuff and then they decide that it's not for them and they don't have 200 coffee mugs sitting in storage. Like, I'm never going to use these now. So, my thing is, and it may be a fall. Some people have told me that, it's not sustainable. Maybe it's not. I'm 3 years in, we'll see. But I'm very catering and I'm very customizable in what I offer. So like, you won't see packages on my website. I mean, on my social medias, no website yet, but on my socials, you won't see packages. You won't see a price list. You'll see basically a portfolio. You'll see products I make, products I've done for others, products I do for fun. I love graphic design. So if you go on my page, you'll see a lot of like little punny graphics that I just make for fun that I sell at like craft markets. So I pride myself on kind of being what people need, especially as a small business. I understand that cost and upfront expenses are just crippling right now. And I would hate for a small business to not be able to do a branding project or have swag or something like that because it's not a priority right now. It might not be, but that $2 mug could lead you to $100 deal with someone that sees your logo. So that is an investment, and I think people don't realize that stuff looks silly, but it is marketing. So I kind of just help people realize that, work with their budgets. Hopefully they come back to me if they love it. If they don't come back, that it is what it is. I hope that they got big enough to use a Vistaprint or something like that. But I'm kind of just here for them, whatever they need.
And when you say it's silly, silly sticks. People remember silly in their
Yes.
minds and everything like that. And that's where I feel like we're kind of a similar business kind of setup. Like we're not working against your business, we're not competition. Like my thing is bookkeeping. Like I want to take the books off of someone's plate so that you can focus more on your business. You just said like if they need help with like their branding and their logos and everything and their apparel and everything like that, business owners can get stressed about that kind of thing so that you take that stress off of them. And they pretty much, everybody wants to see like the finished product or project instead of doing all the work. And that's pretty much like what you do and what I do for these people.
Yeah.
It frees up their time so that they can run their actual business instead of like looking fancy or having to be official and protect themselves.
And like you said, we want to make it look easy. Like I want people to look at them and be like, oh, well, like they always have branding and shirts and swag. That must be so easy for them. The same way your people are like, oh, well, their books are balanced. Like they have nothing to worry about. Well, it's because they're investing in the people behind the business, like you and I, who are helping them. And that's like, it's a product based industry, like, but it's also service based. Like you want to make their life easier. So, but if I can do that, that's great. If I can help them get more business, even better.
What surprised you most about running a business like this that nobody warned you about before you started?
Oh my God. Social media. You need it. And I hate it. And I'm working on it, guys. In order to, and it's funny because like I work in branding and like helping people market is a big thing, but it doesn't matter how many cool marketing pieces you have. If you don't have a social media presence, you're like dead in the water. And I learned that the very, very hard way. And I'm still, building that up, but you need to have a presence on social media. You need to be consistently posting, not just a picture here and there, like high quality videos, reels, pictures, stories, all of the things. Because the market is just so saturated right now with all of these types of small businesses. And if you're not actively making a dent every day, you fall behind. So that is hard. Especially because like I'm a social media person, as in like like a millennial social media person where like I silently doom scroll and then I put it away. I'm not a Gen Zer who wants to be on camera, who like is an influencer. And that's essentially what you have to be. Like a small business owners, especially in like the creative space like I'm in, you have to be a face. Like they do not want to see a logo. They don't want to see it. They want to see a face. That's the brand. And if you go on my social media, my face ain't nowhere to be seen. I'm working on it. It's just not my forte. Like actually, like this call will probably be the first time people have seen me or heard my voice on my pages. But yeah, it is you are actively advertising and marketing every single day. And it is very hard to come up with content every single day.
What's been the hardest part of growing Sunlam Studio so far?
I'm just going to tie it in the social media part
Social media.
because you hit a wall. So I got started off of word of mouth, and I may have been just too innocently optimistic that that would take me further. And it just got me to a point. And then I hit the wall of like word of mouth, but like, oh, you don't have like a page for them for me to like direct them to, or like, I don't have a contact number to give them, but they would have wanted something. So, word of mouth took me there. I got an Etsy shop because I also like sell custom things that are already pre-customized on Etsy and things like that. And I was like, that'll take me, like Etsy ads and all that, like that'll take me so far. Got me to a point, realized very quickly it's social media is where the traction really kicks in. So that's again the social media, that's been the hardest part growing it because there are so many talented small business folks out there. What I do is not unique in the sense of like you can go 100 places to do what I do. So what makes you stand out? And I have done a very poor job in declaring what makes me stand out. So you can't be mad at these small business owners who have put in the work and have grinded out and have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 followers. Hell, if it was me, I would choose them too. So props to them. I always say that there's no competition. We all make each other better. But I have to get my what together on social media and hopefully be up there one day.
My two things with that is that's kind of like a goal with this is like this gives like the personal touch, like with
Yeah.
anything like that. People be like, oh, I saw the video, reached out to them, and I'm actually hearing your voice now. Like this, the personal kind of
You
thing.
know.
And I personally have like I'm an ex-athlete. I played football, I wrestled, that
Okay.
kind of thing. So I've always had a competitive mindset. And I always say, no matter what team you're on, you're always battling or facing somebody. Like
Mhm.
even like Michael Jordan, I think said, my hardest person that I'm competing against is myself, like the
Yes.
person in the mirror. And so like you're always competing, you're always trying to be better. You may have another team, another person, something, but you're always competing.
Yeah.
And I feel like and I am a firm believer, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yeah. And I'm always the type that you have to stay hungry.
Mm.
And I think that's why I do so many things. And that's one thing. And who knows, I may cut it down. I just haven't found one niche that I'm like particularly super passionate about. I like my gifts, my weddings, my branding. I love my three little categories there. But it started off hungry. I do weddings, but wedding is in upstate New York are like 3 months a year where like the peak is. So like, okay, what are we doing now?
Beautiful. How do you want a customer to feel from the first conversation to the moment they are holding what you made for them?
Excited. I want them to be excited. When they first reach out to me, I want them to be excited because they have an idea that they're like pumped to bring to life and they're excited to be talking about it. Those jobs are so fun for me. Excuse me, when someone is like, "Oh, I have this idea for this. Can you do it?" Because they already know what they want. They're pumped about it. And if you can make the connection with them where you can see eye to eye, like I see your vision and I'm going to help you get there, it's a really cool bond, especially for the weddings. So I want people to be excited. I want them to be excited about the process. I want them to be refreshing their email every 10 minutes waiting for my mock-up. I want them to be like, oh, that was great, but like I thought about this. I have no issue with like editing my mock-ups. Like people that are like, oh yeah, that looks great. I'm like, yeah, but it's your design. Like, what can we do better? So I want people excited for that collaborative portion of the project. And then I want them excited when they get it. because I deliver everything like really nicely boxed and wrapped up. My favorite are the people that rip it open in front of me. Love that because I want them to see it. And sometimes I'll even open it and be like, can you just check it out before I go? If I'm dropping off. If I'm mailing, then obviously we can't do that. But I want you excited throughout the whole process. I want you dreaming. I want you excited, and I want you realizing the dream, and I want to be there for all of it.
Here's an idea for you. Have you ever, like, if somebody opens a box from you, have you ever asked them to record themselves opening it
No,
and use
that's
that
actually
content?
that's such a great idea. like the unboxing videos. That is so true. Yeah, and I
So
love like when I do the vendor fairs, like the craft markets, because like, that's part of like what I said earlier about, not burning out. A lot of the stuff you'll see on my social medias or on my Etsy are like little passion projects, like little ideas that I enjoy. So like I'm a huge pun person. I am the corniest person you ever meet. The silliest things make me laugh. So a lot of my work are like logo spoofs. Because parody is protected, so I can take a brand and I can make it funny. So for example, Starbucks, I have shirts and bags that say Starbucks, and instead of the mermaid I have a little bulldog. That one was a huge seller. Someone said, but I don't drink Starbucks, I'm a Dunkin' girl. I said, okay. So now if you go on my shop, I have pumpkin donuts with a little puppy. And that kind of just snowballed. So like I'm a huge dog person too. So a lot of my puns are like dog or pet related. And like that's like little things that I'll sell at like vendor markets or craft fairs. I love people's reactions, especially when it's like teenage girls with their moms and they're like, Mom, look at Starbucks. Oh my God, that's a pumpkin donut. Oh my God, that's it. I love seeing that because it makes me happy. Someone gets my humor. But like the world is so like gray and serious right now that like if something, even if they don't buy it, if just to be like, that's so cute or like that's funny or like that's clever, I love that. So that keeps me from burning out too. So I they're random, but I enjoy them. So
no, I like that. It reminds me of like Weird Al Yankovic. Like I remember
yeah,
like White and Nerdy I think became more popular than Riding Dirty, and I just
yeah,
laugh every time I hear that song and any other variation of it. Like it's
yep.
funny, it's unique. People know where it came from, but
Mhm.
it's things like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I love
I
them.
like the piece.
It also helps too because like you said, protecting client information. If I design a logo for a new business, I can't be the first one to show it until they go live with it. So those little like logo puns also were a way to help me show, like I can do shirts with a logo, I can do mugs with a logo, like things like that, and it kind of just snowballs. So it was like it was a passion project, but it also helps my portfolio. So they weren't always meant to be sold, but now all of those little punny logos you can buy now, like stickers, shirts, I do all of that. So I do have my little passion projects that I do on the side just for fun.
No, that kind of stuff sticks out with people, and it makes them laugh,
Yeah.
Silly
And I
things.
love people that recommend. They're like, "Oh, have you thought about this one?" I'm like, "That's a great idea. I'll jot it down." And like I've gotten a couple from like friends or people that have been like, "You should try to do one with this." And I'm like,
Is there a type of customer or project that lights you up the most?
honestly, like I said, people that are just excited. People that come to me like I know I love the people that need like the hand holding. Like I do love a growing small business who's like, hey, I need everything soup to nuts. I'm here for you. But I love the people that come excited with an idea. Hey, I have this in my head. I just need someone that can bring it to life. That lights me up because like I'm always gonna be the person that you're like, listen, I thought about this thing and Sunlamp Studios did it. I like being part of that little connection, that little journey, because I know how excited I get when I'm doing a graphic or like a logo spoof or something like that, and it just clicks and everything melts and it's just there and that feeling. I love that. So I love giving that to people too, especially with the custom gifts. I had one guy that requested a mug, which is like that's pretty run of the mill for me. I do them every day. But he's like my friend. I forget what the event was. I don't know if it was anniversary or something, but he was like, he is obsessed with his car. I don't know what kind of car it was, but he was obsessed with his car. So I got the colors of his car, used the colors of his car for the mug, did the logo, did all of that. So like the mug basically matched the car to a T. Like little stuff like that where it's like that's not really a huge challenge creatively, but like the buyer was so excited because he was like, oh, this dude loves his car. So like we're gonna bring him the car and the mug. Just simple, it's thoughtful, it's unique. Like not every gift has to be like an engraved wine decanter, like something ornate, it's just something he knows the guy loves his car. We got a mug that matches his car to a T, personalized with his name and all of that. Projects like that. They don't always have to be long drawn out. They don't even always have to make me a ton of money. Like I'm not here, like I still work a 9 to 5 for a reason, folks. Like this is not my bread and butter. I would love it to be one day, but but it's just those projects where people come in and they're like, I'm this close. Like I know what I want, but I just can't get there. And like that's where I come in. So those
Oh,
light
I
me up.
like that. There's something that, like you said, like it reminds me. Like I remember, it was years ago. I saw it. Someone made a pillow out of their grandfather that passed
Oh, the
plaid
shirt,
shirt or
the
something.
plaid shirts. Yes.
But they made a pillow, so it's like you can all, even though I'm not here, you can always hug me
Yes. Yep.
thing.
Yep.
So like
Exactly.
that just reminded me of that.
Yeah, just like little sentimental things like that you're not going to get from a Vistaprint or a Fort imprint, or even like an Etsy. That's something that like only a local small business can do. And I'm on Etsy. I just meant like that's not something that you can really personalize with someone that like you can't talk to face to face. So I love stuff like that.
And you can't like so like the you can't get like their shirt. Like if someone actually passed
Yeah.
away, you can't get that shirt on
Yeah.
X. Etsy.
Yep.
This is what he wore when he was alive, and he hugged me in real life.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done gifts where it's like, oh, so and so always says this stupid expression, like we want to put it on a mug, or like just silly things like that, where it's like it's personable and like that. I love those because people get excited, even if it's like an inside joke. Like I've done things where inside jokes and like to me they're not funny, but like they're cracking up. So I know I did a good job. But like I love those little things. It just makes it real.
how do you handle it when someone has an idea in their head but can't quite describe what they want? I know you said like they're like right there, but like go in a little bit
Um,
more detail about that
yeah,
or a
so
story.
yeah, at that point, it's more of like a little like digging expedition. And I have to ask a lot of questions, but also, and like not to toot my own horn, but I find that I'm a really good listener at just the career I'm in. You have to sometimes people say it and they don't realize that they're saying it. There's certain hot words or key phrases or things that if you're listening well enough and you're intuitive enough, you can take it the rest of the way. So, I can't think of one off the bat, but like just like a rant, like a scenario. If someone comes to me and they're like, hey, like I need a gift for my grandmother, but I just don't know what she like. It's hard to shop for her. So then, well, what kind of things does she like? What's her favorite colors? What kind of things does she have at home? And it might be something as simple as like, "Ugh, it's my grandma. Like, I don't know. She doesn't do anything. Like, all she does is watch Golden Girls all day. Okay. That's something, so like kind of drawing things out, things like that. Or, I've done, cutting boards, like the wood cutting boards, for as a gift where she's like, oh yeah, she's like, I don't know, she bakes, but she has all the baking stuff already. Okay, well, we did like a a board for her kitchen that had all the units of measurement at the conversion rates. Something that's useful, something that she might not know she needs, but like I went to culinary school, like that was my original career path that highly derailed. But I know how hard it is to commit all of those measurements to memory. So it's a nice little useful get to look down and be like, okay, got it. 16 ounces in a cup, look down or, something like that. So in 2 cups, see, look at that, I already messed it up. So,
Yeah, my
but,
thing is like I've always confused tablespoons with teaspoons, and I have a thing that like literally just slides. It
yeah,
has like measurements, and you just slide. It's like I have one thing. It tells me right there,
yeah,
and it's
yeah. I knew a guy that had him tattooed. He was a chef, had all the measurements tattooed. So yeah, so just drawing out kind of what people say things, or if it's a branding, like I don't know, but like something as simple as like I just like bright colors. That's a great springboard because okay, bright colors, is that abstract? Is that realist? Usually if you like bright colors, you like something a little bit more on like the abstract or the fantasy side. I'm not gonna hit you with a Times New Roman 12-point black font logo because you just said, I don't know, I want something exciting. So it's just, little things, active listener, and also it's not a failure if you pitch something and they're like, no. I sent mock-ups and they're like, not quite. That's okay. That's part of the job. And I think people get so nervous to nail it the first time. Like they're waiting 6-7 weeks to send a mock-up. And it's like, send out your best ones, don't rush, but like it's collaborative. You're not selling them a logo, they're buying a logo. Like I think that's like the way you have to kind of look at it. You're not selling a cookie cutter thing. So you want them to be happy. You don't want them, I always think about, imagine making a logo for someone and then 6 months after they go live with their company and it's a different logo. They went somewhere else because you didn't hear them. They didn't like you. They didn't like what you did. I don't want that. I want you to be happy. So a lot of questions, being very intuitive, and kind of filling in the blanks that they may not even know that they kind of have already filled in themselves. So, I'm very chatty, as people will be able to tell from this call. So I'm like that with my folks too, my clients that are ordering. If you don't know what you want, tell me what made you reach out. Tell me what popped in your head when you typed in my email and you said you needed something. What came into your head? Because something popped in your head. Whether you realized it or not, something was dreamed up. So what is it? And we'll go from there.
Stop being stuck in analysis paralysis, and the creative
Yes.
collaboration especially
Yep.
will be
I love
very
that. That's
helpful.
great. Exactly. Yeah, because something made you reach out. Something made you hit message, type the email, send it. You obviously had an idea. And I think some people also are like, I don't know if you can do it, or maybe it's stupid. I don't know. Well, just talk to me. Maybe it is stupid. We'll be stupid together. Like, I would love to figure out stuff like that, So, and I think that's
Plus,
what.
even if you don't, you might know someone that does. It's these
Exactly.
connections that are like that's another point of these interviews, is to be able to
Oh,
be
yeah.
that go-to
Yep.
and have
Yep.
these kind of networks.
Oh yeah, because I'll refer out, and I'm very honest to tell people I either don't know how to do that, or I don't have the machinery to do that. Like I mentioned earlier, engraving is big. I would love to get into that, but that requires space and equipment that I don't have for like laser engraving, or like 3D printing is huge right now. That's not my forte. I'll recommend you. I have a friend that 3D prints. Here you go. So, but if you can do it, and it's just like you said, the analysis paralysis, where like they don't know it, or you don't want to ask, or you're afraid that a mock-up's going to get rejected. That's the name of the game. So, kind of just being prepared for that, and not making the client feel like they're like dumb, or like like I never try to say I don't understand, or I don't get it. It's more like that's such a close-ended statement versus what do you mean by that? Or okay, let me see if I understood that right. Or okay, so what you're asking for is versus I don't get it, or I don't understand, or oh, that was unclear. Because then it makes, if they already don't know what they want, they're like, oh, I don't know, I can't say it. I can't articulate it. And I don't want them to do that, because there may be times where I'm trying to articulate something to them and they're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, I know I'm trying. So just keeping it very open-ended, keeping it very collaborative, 9 times out of 10 is going to get me there.
And if anything, like when you use those kind of statements, like you said, like I don't get it, or I don't understand what you mean, like those are closed-ended. Like you're not giving them an opening to be able to ask you more questions or explain further as to what they mean. So that's important as well.
Exactly, because they're going to find someone who gets it. So you just lost business. They're going to find.
Or they're going to be disappointed that they don't find it at all.
Exactly.
So where is Sunlamb Studio headed, and what are you working towards right now?
So right now, what I'm trying to work on is my own website. So right now I sell in person. I sell at a gift shop, and I sell on Etsy. I'm trying to get my own web page going, because like Etsy fees are just crazy right now. But I also just want that brand identity. Whereas, going into Etsy, it's very saturated and you're kind of playing a numbers or an algorithm game. I want to get to the point where I can direct traffic directly to my website and they're coming there for me. So that's something I'm working on right now. I will be releasing a new logo suite at the end of this year, just to kind of refresh the page. Because when I started this business in 2023, this wasn't supposed to be a thing. I just like designed a logo on Canva and was like, this will be fun for a couple weeks. So 3 years later, I'm like, I actually need a legitimate logo. So I'm working on that, working on a website, and kind of just social media, hoping to build up more of an identity. I think I spent so long perfecting the craft, and I'm there now, but now I need to bring people to the table. So that's what I'm hoping comes from this and from my other avenues. Like we met at the Business Expo. That was the first time I'd ever done one of those. So I'm trying to get myself out there more, and I'm trying to get it through my head that I'm part of the brand. So like, I have to be out there.
Yes.
But so yeah, just trying to get that traction going with kind of standing out and making myself more of an individual business. Hopefully, that starts to come to fruition, but I'm hoping to kind of roll all that out at the beginning of 2027. So
What would it take for this to become the main thing instead of the side thing?
I think about that all the time. I honestly don't know, just because the world's so crazy right now. But honestly, I think if I can just nail down the identity and the brand part of it, I'm hoping like it's if you built it, they will come kind of deal. But honestly, I think I need to be more established and out there to generate that kind of business. But B, I also think, especially in the branding aspect of what I do, it's a very expensive time for people to be starting businesses and to own small businesses, or if they have them, they're scaling back, or if they have them, they're not necessarily investing in the kind of things that I offer. So I think we just need a different, and I won't say mindset because people have the mindset. We just need a more forgiving economy and environment to breed new businesses and things like that. So I think it's twofold. I think I have to get out there at the same time that businesses are on the climb. So it's kind of a perfect storm scenario, but like you mentioned, time doesn't stop, so I have to be ready for when that upturn kicks. I mean, look at all the small businesses that started in 2020. 2020 saw the highest increase in small businesses because people didn't have a choice. And that's like, social media came into play and all of that too. So I think we're kind of on a downturn from that. Hopefully it kicks back up, and when it does, I'll be there. But yeah, I think it's, unfortunately, we're at the mercy, especially small creatives are kind of at the mercy of the world that we're in right now, just economy, things like that. People are struggling to eat and live and put gas in their cars. So I'm not offended if you can't buy a tote bag, you know what I mean? Like, it's priorities. So kind of just hoping that all of that turns up for the better for everybody.
Building those relationships, even without like putting the pressure of them to buy anyway, is just going to, plant the seed and help you even for referrals.
It's definitely one of those things where, like, if you have what people want, they will get there, but they have to know you exist. So that's what we're working on. I think I'm working on getting the name out there more, and also,
You keep that quality, you build that reputation, you keep that quality high.
yes, and that's the thing too. I never wanted to outpace what I could do. I'm lucky now. When I started this business, I was at a different company, and it was a very demanding job. So like the work-life balance was not there. I barely made it through my 9 to 5. I had no energy to come home to do the side thing. So that has balanced out. I have my work-life balance. I can do this now. So it's baby steps. It's progressing. But yeah, you definitely gotta put the work in.
You regret the chances you don't take more than the ones you do.
Exactly. And like I said, I told my husband, I was like, I want to one day work for myself and like not work for someone else. I love where I work. So if anyone's watching this, I love where I work. But it's nothing like being your own boss, and doing your own decisions, and especially like something you're passionate about. Like, who doesn't want to make a living doing something that they genuinely love, like especially with a creative outlet. So that's the dream one day. But I'm blessed that I have, a good mainstream corporate job to fund this till this takes off. So baby steps, but we'll get there.
What would you tell someone who has a creative skill and is thinking about turning it into a business on the side?
Ooh. So first, I would say to definitely do your research. Just because small businesses, especially in the creative space, like especially what I do, is very saturated at the moment. So, if you have something that's deemed a more run-of-the-mill idea, really sit down and brainstorm what's going to make you different, what's going to make you stand out. If you have a crazy, unique, awesome idea and you're the only one of one, I say go for it. But I would definitely make sure you can commit the time to it, because consistency is key. If you are going to, half-ass it and, not give the time, you're never going to get where you want to go. It's going to get frustrating, especially if you have something like I do, where there's a lot of equipment, initial purchases, like, cutting machines, heat presses, sublimation ovens. Like behind me, you can see I have over here, I have a ton of stuff. I'm running out of room. So I would definitely say, what are you offering? Is it unique? Are you going to stand out? If not, you're going to have to work 10 times as hard. If you are unique and you do stand out, do you have the time commitment to make it a business without burning yourself out, without getting frustrated with the lack of consistency? And then if all of that is a good to go, I would definitely have to, I always tell people we talked about scenarios earlier. What does success look like to you and what does a failure look like to you? Because like my small business, to me, this is successful for me, but to someone who this is their bread and butter full time, this is an epic failure. Like I'm not getting anything, so I think you have to kind of, everyone's vision of success and failure is different. So, are you just looking to sell on Etsy? Okay, then, if you get Etsy sales, that's a success. But if you're looking to be an in-person or have a brand identity, then Etsy alone is going to be deemed a failure for you. So I just think you have to kind of sit with yourself and see where you want to be in 6 months, a year, 3 years. And then if all of that falls together, I'd say go for it. But if you're having hesitations where you're like, I don't think I have the time for this, or I don't think I'm going to have the initial investment for this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold this out for a year. Then maybe we pump the brakes and we think about it more. But I would definitely just say you kind of have to play devil's advocate with yourself and say, what does this look like as a win? And what does this look like as a lose? Especially in businesses that have a lot of investment in the upfront costs, like equipment, marketing, things like that. So if you can kind of have that conversation with yourself and you like where the chips are falling, I say go for it.
And keep the mindset anything in life worth having doesn't come easy, and this is hard.
Exactly. And like I'm in a rut right now. Like business was really good, but the economy with the price of groceries and the price of gas, like I was actually just telling my husband, it was funny, last night we were outside on our deck and we were grilling. And he's like, oh, how are things going? And I was like, you know what? I haven't had like an Etsy sale in a minute. And I have different revenue avenues. I have the store, I have Etsy, I have my personal clients. But I was like, I don't know, like maybe my products weren't great, or like I did change some product offerings and things like that. And he was like, babe, people are struggling to put gas in their car. $25 for a cup is just not feasible right now. He's like, don't change your pricing. You charge what you're worth, you charge for your time. He's like, but it's not you, it'll turn up. And then literally 10 minutes later, my Etsy went off. I got a sale. So just the positive mindset, I manifested it. But nothing worth having is easy. So, there are days I'm sitting here and I don't have orders, or I finished up a project and I'm trying hard to source something else, because that's really my bread and butter, like those long-term branding projects, not really the one-offs. But just kind of being comfortable with the uncomfortable feeling of being like, I'm 3 years doing this and I'm sometimes like, I should quit. I had a breakdown the other day. I told my husband, I was like, what do you think I could get for all my equipment? He's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe I'm just like, it was just a bad day. I had a bad day at work and I came home and everything was wrong in the world that day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what do you think? And I was like, you think? And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, stop. He's like, you're fine. So I think you just have to be okay with sitting with those moments and being like, this too shall pass. And it does. And, things are great. And I'm not as crazy now, but I think new business owners have to be prepared for those ups and downs, because even if you have the best idea ever, it's not going to be a straight trajectory up. It's just
absolutely not, especially if it's unique, because people don't understand the concept that you have in mind.
Yeah. Look at some of the biggest companies we have right now. Like, I remember watching a documentary about Netflix and Blockbuster, and I did not know that Netflix actually went to Blockbuster's board of directors for a partnership, and Blockbuster's laughed them out of the conference room and said, "This is never going to be a thing." Now look where Netflix is, and look, there's like one Blockbuster left in the world. So it's not, if it's easy, it's not worth it, and if it's worth it, it's not easy. So just kind of, I always tell myself that it's like I am a Netflix in a world of Blockbusters, and just keep telling yourself that, So, I tell people you just got to stay optimistic even when it's hard. Glass always needs to be half full, or you will burn out doing this.
We're near Saratoga, so put the blinders on and just keep focusing on the race.
Yeah, exactly. You have one objective, is to get to the finish line. Everyone's finish line is different. don't worry about theirs, you worry about yours. But if you do not go in with that mindset, like you said, Saratoga is great, a great way of saying that. That horse is hell bent on getting to the end. The jockey is the one checking the sides and maneuvering him. So it's kind of that same thing. Like you need to be both horse and jockey. Like you need to be so streamlined on where you want to go, but then also have the peripheral to be like, okay, maybe we have to pivot this. Maybe I should market more. Maybe I should offer this. Maybe I should change that. So it is, you are playing both, you are wearing both hats in that situation, but yeah, blinders to the negativity and maneuver through the positivity. And, I can't say it always works out because there are some great businesses out there that no matter what happens, it's just not the right time for you, but if you have the wherewithal to not give up, I say go for it because I love it. It is very fulfilling for me. It is an outlet for me. It's how I know I'm doing it the right thing because I come home excited to pack orders. I come home excited to work on my mock-ups. I come home, I'm brainstorming that in the back of my head all day and it's fun. So if you're not having fun, you're probably in the wrong business.
Have you ever watched the movie The Founder?
Yes.
I think that's a great idea. Like with the
Yes.
persistence, like he was a milkshake salesman and then he ended up being pretty much the owner of
Yep.
McDonald's. He bought it from the owners themselves
Yep.
because they were so limited. They made an amazing product, or service or setup or whatever it ended. But because they were so limited in their mindset and their growth, they got bought out.
Yeah.
And they didn't get much of anything from. I think they got like $1 million. But look at McDonald's today, multi-billion-dollar.
Yeah.
So,
And they all start. I mean, Amazon started in a garage. He was selling books. It was a book retailer, and Amazon is like he's like a bajillionaire. All these. A lot of people don't realize, especially like I say younger generation. I'm a millennial, but like Gen Z and all that who like are in the influencer phase and stuff like that. A lot of these companies that you so idolize came out of the mud. Like look at Apple, Steve Jobs, and look at Facebook with Zuckerberg and things like that. Those were ideas that were weird. No one wants this. No one's going to ask for this. We don't need this. And now look at them. So, manifesting that I'll be a multi-billion-dollar company one day. So,
And a lot of people are afraid to communicate and collaborate as well. Like I remember hearing something like Facebook wasn't going off as the way that Zuckerberg was hoping for. So he asked Tom. You remember Tom from MySpace?
Everyone's first friend.
He's like,
yeah.
"What do you do?" He's like, "Well, you don't like let anybody post pictures or groups or add friends or something." And then like that, just took off Facebook for him. So,
Yes,
okay.
It's all super collaborative. You have to be open to it. You have to be, especially because collaborations turn into competition. You don't want to collaborate. You want to gatekeep. You want to hoard resources or what your knowledge or anything like that. When you need help in the future, that's competition. It's give and take.
Really
And yes, exactly. Because people remember that. People remember.
Where can people find you, and what is the best way to reach out if they want something custom made or want to follow what you are building?
Yeah. So I am currently on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is my main page. It's Sunlamp Studio on both. I also have a shop on Etsy, also Sunlamp Studio. And if you're looking to contact me, you can actually message me on any of those platforms. I have obviously my direct messages on Instagram and Facebook, but on Etsy, I actually have a button that you can hit if you want a custom order. So you see something on my page, it's not exactly what I want, but it's close. You can reach out to me there. And then if all of that fails and you just want to say hi, sunlampstudio@gmail.com is our business email. So if you have questions, comments, want to work on something, anything like that, that's the place to reach me.
Is there anything else you would like to specifically add to this interview?
Honestly, no, it was great. I really hope that this gains the traction that, that we've been talking about, because this is a really good opportunity for small business owners to kind of get out there, especially if you're like me and you're allergic to social media. So no, nothing to add. This was great. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity.
Do you have any questions about my business or who I am or anything like that?
Honestly, the one question I wanted to ask, just because I do some bookkeeping in my job, I wanted to know, what are the worst books you've ever picked up from a client where they're like, help, I messed this up, or this is wrong somewhere, and they were like, fix it. Have you had a situation like that?
I'm still very new. The reason why I started my bookkeeping business is because I had a friend that escaped the Albanian Kosovan War.
Oh,
He came
okay.
over. When he came here, he didn't even speak English at all. Like he was in New York City. I know he even did work he worked for like several celebrities and everything in New York City. I know he told me that he did work for like Sarah Jessica Parker or something like
Oh,
that, her house or something. Um, but he got very good at construction and everything, the actual business itself. And we worked together at a warehouse, and I always was like making spreadsheets, fun, creative, stupid ways like organize and whatever. And he said we should go into business together. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be limited. I will help you out and do everything for you. So I figured all of this kind of stuff out. And that's why I got into that kind of thing. I didn't actually have this as a job or something beforehand,
okay.
but so far from the people that I have reached out and have met so far with it, the main thing that I've seen is that the commingling accounts, the personal and business transactions in the same thing. And I've said it a few times, like that's like the big thing. Like if you have an LLC, like the point of that is to protect your personal assets
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
your business ones. And people, I don't think they take that seriously. It's like, oh, well, it hasn't happened yet. But and I'm like, well, when it does happen, if it does happen, it's gonna, be hellfire and you're gonna lose a lot more than you
Limited
think.
liability for a reason. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't think people understand the risks, and you're stressing about the things that you don't know more than the ones that you do. Would you rather have someone know and be able to like refer to as like a partner or collaborator, like where am I making money? Where are my margins? Like, a lot of, especially construction, the guys, they don't realize like, oh, I made fifty thousand
Yeah.
dollars on this one job, but okay, but you also spent $45,000 to do that job. Like you made 5,000.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
I see that
oh,
a lot too. I can imagine, especially for small businesses. I even lose track. Like I had to start keeping track of like expenses because I was like, oh, this machine paid for itself because I did this job. And my husband's like, you applied that job to like 3 different machine purchases. Like you gotta like keep track of it. But no, I find that interesting, especially with the construction guys, because also it's time. I don't know if like creative space, like it's my cost of my supplies, but I also charge for my time too. I know like
mhm.
I'm guessing they do like labor costs, right? I don't know. So
Yeah, some of them do like material like flooring. He's pretty much like a one man kind of thing,
okay.
like where he does most of it. Like he did an amazing job for a house that actually just sold. Like the person passed away, and he redid the whole flooring, he redid the
Oh,
kitchen, he did like all of that stuff on his own. And so like he has to go for materials and his labor, but he didn't track like, and he just uploaded all of his receipts so that I can finally, add that into the cost and give like a specific how much this product costs for his thing. And he's like, okay, so what do you think I should charge? I'm like, it's your business. What do you want to charge?
yeah.
Like your margin is your choice. Like this is your thing to call. He's like, oh, what do you think? Again, like I'm going to help you
Can't make
out
that
and
call for you.
determine. Right. And like
Yeah.
he like when we started this kind of stuff together, like I haven't priced things before. Like we figure out what works. And as time goes on, things will get better. And but as far as that job, he spent, I want to say like 2 months on it. And he made 40 grand
Okay.
or something like that. So like, but he spent a lot of time and he wants to build. And I have another partner that he's so busy right now with everything because he just started his own Cardinal Property Improvements. Ben, he just started his own thing because he's been like a manager forever, and he's done like foundation works. He's dug out things like all of that stuff. But he did the same thing. Like he commingled the personal and business expenses, and
Mhm.
I'm like, I will take care of that for you. It gives me the practice. I'm still very new. Like, I know
Yeah.
you trust me. I'm going to do the best job that I can for you. And
Those
so, like,
those
having,
folks that take the chance on you when you're new, like I have like my few MVP friends that were like my word of mouth, where they were like, "Do you? Here's what I want, but like, hey, I need more time because I don't really know how to do these graphics yet." Or like, "Hey, I just bought a machine and I'm still learning the software." Like, like shout out to that because they were great. Like things you can never do with like a off the street client or those people are great. I still have friends that are like that. They're like, "Hey, can you do this for me? Like, I know I'm not priority. Like, you have other stuff to do, so but just get this done." I love those friends.
and it helps me build the foundation. And I have like another creative thing that I'm planning on doing with bookkeeping. I'm not broadcasting it really yet. Like, so this is Clark Bookkeeping signing off. You want to say goodbye or anything last to the people?
I know this is Zully from Sunlamp Studio. Thanks for the time, and I hope to hear from some of you soon.